everyone, it's Jack from Cultaholic.com, back again with another scintillating news video. Shouts out to Tom on the earlier news video today, and shouts out to Mr. Adam Pacitti for his 24-hour Hell in a Smell live stream for the third year running, actually. That man, his endurance knows no bounds. And to celebrate Hell in a Smell 3, we also released a new drop of merchandise as well, so head to cultaholicshop.com for all that info. But now we have more pressing issues to discuss, and that's why, without any further ado, we're going to take a look at some headlines. First of all, a released SmackDown Superstar could be returning very soon. Next up, another WWE Superstar has refused to stop streaming on Twitch in defiance of WWE's new mandate. And finally, at the recent Impact TV tapings, two notable stars were absent. We'll take a look at the reasons for that in just a moment. So first of all, the WWE Superstar who was released, who could be returning soon, is none other than former UFC heavyweight champion, MMA superstar, Cain Velasquez. Now, as a personal friend of Cain Velasquez, obviously I've met him before and did an interview and was really scared, but he was a lovely man. I've not actually asked him, which is bad friendship on my behalf, and I should really find out how he's doing. But someone who is close friends with Cain Velasquez and isn't just pretending for the internet is Rey Mysterio, who was recently speaking to ESPN. Mysterio said that he believes that Cain is not gone from WWE for good and will be back. He said, "I can't dig into the exact situation with Cain, but I do know for a fact that he is very dedicated. He's very passionate about lucha libre and about wrestling." Rey goes on to say, "I know this was one of his biggest dreams to be a part of WWE. I honestly don't think that he's gone for good. I think he's going to make an appearance and a comeback." Now, obviously, Velasquez's first WWE run wasn't the best. It was kind of a story of unfulfilled potential, maybe mismanagement, maybe a weird booking decision or two here and there, because it was very strange. I mean, he only ever wrestled 2 matches for the company, and only one on like official TV or like a live broadcast or whatever. It was on a pay-per-view, actually. It was on one of the Saudi Arabia shows. That was at last year's Crown Jewel, where he unsuccessfully challenged Brock Lesnar and lost to him in pretty quick fashion, actually, amid rumours of an injury, of course, as well. Then there was the whole kerfuffle. That's understating it. There was the whole incident at the airport where apparently Cain stayed back with the rest of the talent while some of the execs and Vince and everybody left early on a chartered flight. But he also wrestled one other match, which I believe was just a house show match. Now, obviously, that doesn't match up to the level of hype that Velasquez was brought in under, of course, being a former UFC heavyweight champion. Something seems to have gone wrong somewhere down the line. I remember on the press run that I was a part of when I interviewed him, he revealed to me and to other members of the press, like the Sun newspaper, Don't Read the Sun, he revealed to them that he was very interested in entering the 2020 Royal Rumble. In fact, I think some news sources reported it as him definitely entering the Royal Rumble match, and then of course he didn't. Not long after that, Velasquez was released. It was a very mysterious situation, but according to Rey Mysterio here, it seems like he could well be back in WWE. He could make some sort of comeback, but I guess we'll have to wait until the world reverts to normal a little bit. Next up, there's been a lot of controversy recently regarding WWE and Twitch. Obviously, WWE have been limiting the freedom of their talent on Twitch, you know, in some cases trying to take a cut of their earnings on Twitch, and then more recently, I believe, just threatening to pull Twitch entirely or just wanting to stop their superstars from streaming. Well, one of those superstars who's become very successful and very popular on Twitch is none other than former women's champion, former NXT women's champion, Divas champion, she's won loads of belts, Paige. Now, Paige has become massive on Twitch and obviously doesn't wrestle anymore. She was forced to retire due to injuries. And obviously this news has affected her quite a lot. Well, during a live stream on Saturday, Paige said that she would continue to stream because it's good for her health, thereby defying WWE's new regulations regarding Twitch. Now, I honestly don't know what sort of consequences this would have, but because Paige doesn't wrestle anymore, I don't know whether this is possibly like a wise move for her to just defy the regulations. If she falls out with WWE because of that, fine, she can do Twitch. She's huge on there. Paige claimed that not streaming anymore, obeying WWE's rules, would not be good for her health. She says that streaming really helps her health, I assume both physically and mentally, because it keeps her active, it keeps her creative. But also she says that the Twitch community helps her during a time when she's not able to go on the road because she's no longer wrestling because of her neck issues and because of the pandemic. She also noted that a new website was in the works, but it had been delayed and she didn't want to add more fuel to the fire. So I'm not quite certain what that means. Now, this has kind of become an issue slightly in a more mainstream sense, because the fact that WWE class their talent as independent contractors and then don't exactly treat them like independent contractors has caught the attention, of course, of American politician Andrew Yang, who has said that he would work hard to take legal action against WWE's independent contracts if Joe Biden wins the presidency. Now, the belief is the reason behind WWE acting what appears to be very unfairly is because WWE will be working with Twitch or starting a similar service, and their talent will need to go through them, with the company getting a share of the revenue. Obviously, that has not gone down well with the wrestlers, and it's believed that several of the wrestlers have indeed been in contact with Andrew Yang, but I don't know how true that is or any names or anything like that, but it's certainly been mentioned by various different sources. So there you have it. I mean, Paige is going to continue to stream even though WWE have said no more streaming. We'll see how it goes. We'll see what kind of action WWE takes against her, whether this only has an impact on currently active talent, whether they'll just let her do her thing, or whether they'll try and crack down, and then that will surely lead to more friction and more tension and potentially more controversy further down the road. Next up, let's go to Fightful, who are reporting that two key stars of Impact Wrestling were not present at the most recent set of Impact TV tapings. Fightful reported that first of all, EC3 was not present at the tapings. Now, EC3 obviously did compete at Bound for Glory in a sort of a cinematic match really against Moose, which took on the form of a story where EC3 was trying to get Moose to look inside himself and be his own man and focus and maximize his potential and all this kind of stuff. And maybe it's the case that now that that is over, EC3's story's complete and he's just not a part of it anymore. Now, EC3 has stated in previous interviews that he was not actually signed with Impact, so this may have been a very informal, short-term kind of deal. Obviously, his match with Moose at Bound for Glory was obviously pre-taped, so that could have happened at any point. That may not have even been recent. That's very, very interesting. Could that mean then potentially that EC3 is once again just a free agent? Anyone can sign him if they want? Because, I mean, you've got to imagine that several big promotions will be looking at somebody like EC3, although maybe not in the current climate with the pandemic and everything, so I'm not quite certain. We'll have to keep an eye on that and see what EC3 does next. But he was not the only key wrestler absent from Impact TV tapings. Fightful have also noted that Kylie Ray reportedly wasn't at the tapings either. Now, obviously at Bound for Glory, if you haven't heard, Kylie Ray didn't turn up to the event. Impact kind of switched a few things around. It ended up being that Su Yung replaced Kylie Ray in her title match and ended up winning the title actually. But yeah, Kylie Ray just didn't show. Now, everything's kind of up in the air. Nobody seems to really know what has happened apart from perhaps Impact and obviously Kylie Ray herself. But apparently she was under no physical harm. She was fine. She was free of injury and everything, which is good to hear. Hopefully she's all right, because it was quite a strange scenario. Now, Ray not being at the TV tapings, I don't think we should take this to mean that she's also no-showed the TV tapings. What's going on? This may have been part of a pre-agreed thing with Impact where basically they've said, look, if you need to take time away, take whatever time you need, etc, etc. So I don't think this is a cause for panic stations, but I do think that it maybe is a sign of Kylie Ray taking just a little bit of time off potentially. Hopefully she's all fine. Hopefully everything's okay. And once she's back in the correct sort of set of circumstances or whatever's going on, then she can get back on track and hopefully have this title shot as well. And finally, let's talk New Japan and let's talk some tournament announcements. We love a New Japan Pro Wrestling tournament and we love the Best of the Super Juniors. Obviously, the Best of the Super Juniors was supposed to take place way earlier this year, in the springtime. Obviously, that couldn't happen because of the pandemic. So now New Japan have announced that it'll be running from November 15th to December 11th. However, there's a bit of an issue with the Best of the Super Juniors. Given the circumstances and given the limitations imposed upon New Japan's roster, there will only be one block. Usually Best of the Super Juniors follows the same format as the G1 Climax. Two separate blocks, round robin formats in either block, and then the winner of both blocks progressing to the final match. Instead, this year, the 2020 Best of Super Juniors tournament will only have one block, and the top two finishing wrestlers in the sort of table after the round robins are complete will face off in the finals on December 11th. Now, let's take a look at who those participants are. So we have Raisuke Taguchi, of course, the funky weapon himself, Master Wato, Sho of Roppongi 3K, Robbie Eagles, Hiromu Takahashi, of course, perhaps the most over and biggest star in the junior division in New Japan, Bushi, also of LIJ, El Desperado of Suzuki Gun, Yoshinobu Kanemaru, also of Suzuki Gun, Doki, also of Suzuki Gun, and also Taiji Ishimori of, not Suzuki-gun, of the Bullet Club, everybody. Lots of good wrestlers in there. Obviously, it's a bit light in terms of imports, just due to the fact that there's travel restrictions going on and everything. But there's the likes of Robbie Eagles in there as well. Newer faces like Master Wato, mixing it in with established talent like Hiromu Takahashi, of course. So there should be a lot of good matchups looking at that lineup. There will also be a rematch of a very good Best of the Super Juniors final from a few years ago, which was Takahashi versus Taiji Ishimori, the one where they went up into the bleachers. I think it was in Kurikan Hall. That was really awesome. I'm excited to see that match again. I'm excited to just see how the tournament unfolds in general. But I wonder how much it'll suffer, potentially, from the lack of a 2-block setup. It's slightly new territory for New Japan, just doing the single block round robin thing with the top 2 competitors going into the final, but we'll see how they make it work. And that's not the only tournament announcement from New Japan in this bloody video. They have also announced the Super J Cup 2020. Now, the Super J Cup is kind of like New Japan's Best of the Super Juniors International Edition. It often takes that kind of form. I was at one of them in Manchester once, for example, just to show how it can crop up anywhere. The 2020 Super J Cup will be a one-night single elimination tournament to be held on December 12th, so one day after the finals of the Best of the Super Juniors. That's very interesting indeed. It'll feature talent from Impact Wrestling, GCW, MLW, and Ring of Honor, so a collection of pretty prominent US promotions there. In fact, I think you could argue that they've got all the biggest ones apart from WWE and AEW, so they've done pretty well getting participants from these various different promotions. This could be a very good tournament, just looking at the names. We've got a lot of people who've been previously affiliated with New Japan or are still currently affiliated with New Japan, and we've got 1 or 2 exciting additions from outside of the promotion too. So in that tournament, which remember is not round robin, this one is single elimination in one night, we have TJP, ACH, obviously both formerly of WWE, and the next man as well, Leo Rush. We've got Chris Bay, we've got Ray Horus, Blake Christian, Clark Connors, and El Fantasma, who is of course a member of the Bullet Club. In fact, I think it was Fantasma who won the tournament that I went to, so good for him. I mean, I was drunk, I can't fully remember. So that's it for today's news video, or today's second news video. Thank you very much for watching. Obviously check out Tom's earlier news video if you haven't seen it already and you want more wrestling news. Adam's 24-hour stream's finished now, but thank you so much to everybody who watched and championed him along, because my word. And also, of course, check out our new merch drop at cultaholicshop.com. Leave all your thoughts and opinions on any of these news stories in the comment section down below. Stay safe out there, stay positive, and I'll see you very soon.